Extinction means the permanent disappearance of an organism from the planet.
As we told you yesterday, about 1 million species of animals and plants around the world are now at risk of extinction.
From penguins and killer whales in Antarctica to orangutans in Indonesia and seals on the Great Barrier Reef. Animals all over the world find their habitat threatened by human activities like unsustainable farming and pollution, and their very survival is at stake.
So we depend on animals and plants for our food.
Biodiversity is important for human well-being, and we humans are destroying it.
News has circled the planet to show how loss of animals and plants can impact human populations, from the waters off Australia to the Brazilian Amazon, which creates weather systems that cool the world, biodiversity to survive, and while the human population is growing, those resources are not.
City is basically all the living parts of the planet, and that includes us.
Hallucigenia. Hallucigenia is a genus of Cambrian animal resembling worms, known from articulated fossil and Borges shell type deposits in Canada and China, and form isolated spines around the world. The generic name reflects the type species, unusual appearance, and eccentric history of study. When it was erected as a genus H. Hallucigenia lived around 508 million years ago, and it became extinct organism from the Middle Cambrian period 505 million years ago. Pio-pio. The pio-pios or thorngrass are extinct genus of passerine birds in the family Oriolidae that were endemic to the New Zealand, sometimes described as a New Zealand thrushes. The pio-pios had only coincidental passing resemblance to the thrush family. It was extinct on the banks in Otago Peninsula by the 1880s. It was still relatively common on the west coast in Fiordland in the 1880s, but was extinct there by c. 1895.
Laughing owl. The laughing owl was medium-sized owl with no ear tufts that was endemic to New Zealand, but is probably now extinct. It was also known locally as wiccaw. The laughing owl or wiccaw became extinct in the early 28th century. The last known bird was one found dead on a run at Blue Cliff Station near Timara. In 1914, the species to create farms and to newly introduce predators.
Edestos. Edestos is an extinct genus of edestord cartilaginous fish known from the late Carboniferous of the United States, Russia, and the United States. Most remains consist of isolate curved blades or whorls that are studded with teeth and life weights situated within the jaws. Regardless, these sharks exist for several million years before going extinct approximately 307 million years ago.
Head hens were extremely common in their habitat during colonial times. Because of this, along with being a gregarious bird, they were hunted by settlers extensively for food.
It became extinct in 1932.
The Carolina parakeet or Carolina conure is an extant species of small green neotropical parrot with a bright yellow head, reddish orange face, and pale beak that was native to the eastern, Midwest, and plain states of the United States. The Carolina parakeet was declared extinct in the 1939. However, the story doesn't end there. While habitat destruction and persecution of dove led to the extinction of these larger-than-life tropical birds, the remaining population had vanished suddenly without a trace.
Toromiro tree. Sopta toromiro tree, commonly known as toromiro, is a species of flowering tree in the Legummi family, Fabaceae, that is endemic to Easter Island. It has been extinct in the wild for over 30 years. The species was formally described as Sopra toromiro in the 1921 book about the botany of Tapa Nui. Prototaxites. Prototaxites live worldwide from approximately 420 million to 350 million years ago. During this period, which spanned part of the Silurian and Devonian period of geologic time, terrestrial Earth looked quite alien in comparison to the modern world. The organism went extinct approximately 350 million years ago. Glossopteridales. Glossopteridales are extinct group of seed plants that arose during the Permian on the great southern continent of Gondwana. Glossopteris, the genus from which group gets its name, is also the largest best-known member of Glossopteridales. Because of struggle to survive, it became extinct 200 million years ago. Franklin tree, discovered in the wild along Georgia's Altamaha River in 1765 by botanists John and William Bartram. This beautiful landscape tree is considered extinct in the wild. The Bartrams named the plant in honor of their friend Benjamin Franklin. It was last recorded or it already extinct in the wild by nurseryman and plant collector in 1803. Valerianella is a genus of plant in family Capreophylloses. Many plants of this genus are known by the common name corn salad or corn salad, although that name most often refers to Valerianella locusta. Valeriana, extinct formerly known as Valerianella affinis, was species of plant in the family Capreophyllosiae. It was endemic to Socotra, Yemen. It was only found once in Jebel Ma'ali near Valencia in 1880 and has not been seen again despite repeated searches in the region. Strike-nose electric. The flower of strike-nose electric, dropped in amber at least 15 million years ago, was found in a Dominican amber mine in 1987 by George Poinar. It was named by Rutger botanist Lena Struve in 2015. The extinct species Strinose electric fossil flower of which were dated to the mid-Tertiary period between 15 million and 30 million years ago. Ebola. Ebola virus disease or EVD, one of the deadliest viral disease, was discovered in 1976 when two consecutive outbreaks of fatal hemorrhagic fever occurred in different parts of Central Africa. The first outbreak occurred in the Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly Zaire, in a village near the Ebola River, which gave the virus its name. However, scientists later discovered that two outbreaks were caused by two genetically distinct viruses, Zaire Ebola virus and Sudan Ebola virus. After this discovery, scientists concluded that the virus came from the two different sources and spread independently to people in each affected areas. In Guinea, the first end of outbreak declaration was in December 2015, but additional cases were discovered in March and April of 2016. Guinea was finally declared Ebola-free in June 2016, 2.5 years after the first case was discovered. The outbreak ended with more than 28,600 cases and 11,325 deaths. The Black Death, one of the worst plagues in history, arrived at Europe's shores in 1347. 5 years later, some 25 to 50 million people were dead. The Black Death was a devastating global epidemic of bubonic plague that struck Europe and Asia in the mid-1300s. The plague arrived in Europe in October 1347, when 12 ships from the Black Sea docked at the Sicilian port of Messina. The Black Death of October 1347 and Extinction in c. 1352 was one of the worst catastrophes in recorded history. A deadly bubonic plague that ravaged communities across Europe, changing forever their social and economic fabric. Rinderpest. Rinderpest, also known as cattle plague, was a disease caused by rinderpest virus, which primarily infected cattle and buffalo. Infected animals suffer from symptoms such as fever, wounds in the mouth, diarrhea, discharge from the nose and eyes, and eventually death. Death rates during rinderpest outbreaks were remarkably high, up to 100%, in particularly susceptible herds. Extinction time. Rinderpest was declared eradicated in 2011, making it the first animal disease to be eliminated in the history of humankind. For centuries, rinderpest caused the death of millions of cattle, buffalo, yak, and wild animals, leading to feminine starvation.